So a quite toothless surrender from India at Lord's. Our cricket expert and former New Zealand all-rounder Chris Harris joins us from Christchurch to look back at a very forgettable game from an Indian perspective at least. Chris, thank you for your time here on WION. You try to refrain from extremes as a journalist, but to bat 80 overs and lose a test inside 2 completed days, that was quite ordinary from India.
Yeah, they'll be extremely disappointed. I mean, to get so close in the first test, which could easily have gone their way with a little bit better batting in that second innings. And then, you know, the talk about Kohli after that test match saying he really needs his batsmen to stand up. Well, unfortunately, he got the absolute opposite. Not only did they not step up, they took a step backwards. So it's so tough for India now going forward because they've got that added pressure, you know, to get bowled out. Look, let's be honest, it was bowler-friendly conditions after a day of rain. There was a bit of moisture in the pitch and it was beautiful bowling conditions for England, but by no means do I think it was a wicket that you should have been bowled out for 107. There was a lot of batsmen playing at balls that they should have left and that they had to just grind it out in that first day, and unfortunately they couldn't. And so to be bowled out for 107, they knew from then that they were very much in big trouble. I mean, there were so many talking points. The fact that, you know, after day one there was no toss. It looked as though the test match was only going to be 3 or 4 days, and India still decided to play a second spinner who was going to play a very minor role. I can't understand that. So there's been some decisions that have been made that are very surprising to a lot of us all around the world.
One of the big positives for India, Chris, through their test series in South Africa earlier this year and in the first test in England as well, was the bowlers taking 20 wickets in each and every one of those games. Now, while you can't expect that to happen all the time, of course, but look in the other camp, and 230-somethings in James Anderson and Stuart Broad were making that Duke ball talk outrageously well.
Yeah, well, they've got the experience. Look, some would argue that they're slightly down on pace, but you get those conditions which slightly favour them, and they've got all that wealth of experience and, you know, the amount of test wickets they've got between them. It just shows if they get the right conditions, even now as you'd consider they're getting towards the end of the career, they are extremely difficult bowlers to face, and both of them bowl beautifully and great support. You know, even Sam Curran coming in and getting a wicket, and then Wokes chipping in not only with his 100 with the bat, which was perhaps the difference in this game, but also his ability to pick up wickets. I thought all their bowlers bowled well, and I just think they perhaps a lesson that India have to take from the England bowlers is just that not to go so much looking for wickets, although it being difficult when you have to get wickets because your batsmen have batted badly, but you've just got to be a little bit more patient. Not only are you looking for wickets, but you're looking to make it difficult for the opposition to score. And when there's a little bit of movement on the wicket, that's how you are going to strike. Not through trying to bowl wicket-taking deliveries, but just through pressure.
Chris, from an overall Indian perspective, remove Virat Kohli's 200 runs at Edgbaston in the first test, and India have managed all of 473 runs in 4 innings so far in this series. None of the batsmen have got going, so it's not a case of making 1 or 2 shake-ups to the team, which is something India anyway have tried. So what is it that they look to do now? In your opinion, can they stay alive in this series at all?
That's what I said. So it makes it so difficult from here because, I mean, look, there'll be some argument that you could change one of the openers or whatever, but if you take away, as you said, Virat Kohli's runs that he scored in the series, effectively you'd argue that the whole top order is a not very good touch after 2 test matches. And for me, you'd have to look back at after the one-day series. I think there was 15 days before the first test match, and India thought, we've been here for a month, we've got used to conditions, and they played 1 3-day game. And I think that's a decision that they'll look back and with some regret, because I think, you know, when you go to a red ball and first-class conditions, it's completely different to the white ball format, and I think that's a mistake that they made. They thought they were used to conditions, but we've just saw in the second test that they certainly won't. So, look, I don't think there'll be any wholesale changes. I think they may look and learn from playing 2 spinners, depending on conditions. I mean, who knows? The next test, they might think that it's going to spin a little bit. But at the end of the day, for India to compete in England, their batsmen just have to stand up a little bit more. And even if they'd scored 200 in that first innings, you know, as I said, they had England 89 for 5. They gave themselves a chance because it was challenging. But it's a confidence thing now. They've had 2 test matches. They should have won the first test match. They didn't. They lost. England played very well at the end there. And then England obviously on top of the world at the moment, and India lacking confidence. So it's going to be an extremely difficult comeback. So Virat Kohli, unfortunately, is going to have to stand up again, and so are some of the other top order batsmen.
You've spent some time in India, Chris, and seen firsthand this impossible optimist streak among Indians. Now, these audiences here are crying out to know this. Is there any shot for the Indian team at somehow coming back in this series?
Oh, look, I think they do. It's a 5 test match series, and I think, look, like all cricket fans, and I'm sure all of the Indians watching from over there as well, what they really want to see from this Indian team going into this 3rd test match is just some real fight. They want to see some batsmen going out there and being gutsy and, you know, leaving balls, and even if they have to bat for a long period of time, to give themselves a chance to score some runs later in the innings. I think that's what you want to see. You want to see some real fight from this Indian side. And I think if we see that, that's the type of thing we're going to have to see for them to get back on track.